Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the podcast. We're in part 2 of our series with Robert Misheloff today from Smider Finance. We're going to get into finding what it takes to actually finance a truck, some of the things you need to look for. He's been around for a long time and is very experienced. He owns smarterfinanceusa.com, helps truck drivers get financing for trucks. We're going to talk to him. We talked to him in our last episode about becoming an owner-operator, whether that's even a good idea, and we're going to talk to him about how to get financing for your equipment and that kind of thing. And our next episode, we'll talk about purchasing it. But before we get into that, let me tell you about a new truck stop opening in Woodstock, Ontario, exit 230 of the 401. This is going to be a new truck stop by Harnois Énergies. It's going to be an SO fuel card, so you want to get your fuel card by going to harnoisenergies.com. Anyway, they're going to have all kinds of amenities for you. They've got a ton of truck parking. They're going to have diesel fuel, propane. They're going to have a restaurant. They're going to have a couple convenience stores. They've got a cat scale there. And they're going to have maintenance and other things available as well. So you certainly want to make sure you go there. It's a very convenient location on the 401. So, and it's been formerly a truck stop before, so I'm sure you already know it. So check them out at harnoisenergies.com. They've been around since 1958, so you can make sure you get all the stuff that you need. All right, let's get into this interview with Robert. We're going to get into this is part 2 of what you need to do to finance a truck. Here we go.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
Do you see, and we're not going to get political on this show, Robert. I'm in Canada. You're in the U.S. We're friends.
Yep.
So we are anyway. So anyway, but there's a lot of in Canada here, and I'm pretty sure you see the same thing in North America. We're similar. We get a lot of people coming to Canada. Newcomers come to Canada, and trucking is one of those viable things where it's fairly easy to get in. You know, you can go for 6 weeks. You get your license. If you got the money, you can go and buy a truck, and you're in business pretty well. You know, no matter how much experience you got. Is there any, like, with people coming in from other countries, when they're doing this whole financing part, does status of where they live and all of that, like, you know, the employment status that a lot of newcomers have, because a lot of them have been running on like student visas and all kinds of visas that are not work related, should we say?
Sure.
Is that part of the process for somebody?
Yes.
If they're trying to do that? Do you guys check that, or is it just a matter of, hey, I can buy a truck, so I'm going to buy one?
Yeah, so it's a big issue, especially the last year or so, because if I'm going to finance a truck for somebody, and most banks want to see that they're an American citizen, because there's an issue: are they going to get kicked out of the country? And is something outside of somebody's control going to prevent them from making the payment on the truck? Right.
Right.
Repossessions are, you know, there's a few repo lenders out there, but that's not who you want to deal with. And when I say a repo lender, there's some characters out there that their business model is based on overcharging somebody for financing, hoping somebody repos the truck. Oftentimes they're in cahoots with the seller, that sort of thing. But outside of that kind of garbage, citizenship is a big concern, or at the very least, a work visa.
Right. Okay. Yes, we have that here, and I'm assuming it was similar there. Just because we have a lot of newcomers that listen to this podcast, you know, because we represent everybody here. So just with the spot market. So when are owner operators doing business plans? Do they even do that? I don't know. I've been in business 20 years. I can't remember the last time I did a business. I revise a lot of stuff. I don't know if I actually have a plan, but do they have to come up with that? Is that still the way of someone kind of getting into buying a truck? You come up with a business plan, you go meet the banker, you go meet someone like yourself, you know, there used to be a whole process to this that kind of either scared you away or made you really take it seriously. I'm not sure. Are you still seeing that? Are people coming with business? Because I would think if they're starting with the spot market, they're going, hey, you're not going to make this, buddy. Like, I don't, what are you seeing on your side there?
So a couple of things. First of all, that conversation is one of many reasons why companies like mine exist, because the idea of a huge business plan and making a pro forma and all these charts for a business that's really pretty simple, just doesn't make any sense, right?
It's only simple at the beginning. Once you start running it, it's not simple anymore.
That's right. One of the things that we typically do with our customers is we're going to ask some basic things to make sure you know what you're getting into. We're going to ask, okay, so what are you going to make? And a lot of times the answer is, I don't know. It's like, well, so how far are you going to drive? It's 2,500 miles a week. Okay. And so how much are you going to get paid per mile? Okay. Now what are your costs going to be? All right. Now here's going to be the payment, and this is how much you're going to make. Do these numbers make sense, or is this a good deal, or is this a bad deal? Because we want anyone that we work with to make decisions based on an informed business decision, not based on my friend said this is a good business. Well, okay, business is always going to be built around numbers.
Yep.
And so, but for in our case, the vast majority of the transactions we're involved in are either what's called application only, which means we're just going to look at the person's credit, or application plus. And application plus is, well, we may look at 3 months of bank statements, or we may look to see or find out, do they have a hauling contract? And depending on who the hauling contract is with, that may be a positive or a negative, right? If we get someone calling in saying they're going to haul for FedEx, that makes the transaction much more viable in some cases than someone who's just going to go to load boards.
Right. Yeah. Load bar is a scary market. I know I've got a friend here who does authorities for owner operators. And I know that for ours, you have to have like 3 years of trucking experience, and you've got to have the insurance, all of that stuff before you can actually get your own authority. Is it the same in the States, or can someone just buy a truck and start hauling? Because, if you think of and I don't know if it's changing, we've got this whole misclassification of employment thing going on, I think up here, starting in California. So it's going on down there as well. So even the leased owner or operators are probably going to change in the near future. But can someone come in and maybe they don't have the business built yet? They're kind of hoping, is that going to be enough for you to take a chance on them? Or?
Yeah. I mean, they need to have insurance.
Right.
And that happens before they take ownership of the truck and the transaction funds and money is sent out. I mean, you can't finance an asset that's not insured.
Right. Okay.
But aside from that, in general, no.
Okay. Interesting. You were talking about some of the scams and stuff out there, and I don't want to focus on that because that's not what we're really here. But somebody who is actually looking at this, and maybe you can explain to us what are the ducks in a row that someone should have, so that they can make it easier for you. So if that you're confident and they're confident that they're making the right choices, are there a few steps that someone should have all in place before they even reach out to you?
Not necessarily. A lot of times the first step is calling somebody like us. So, we can, ask some questions and guide them. Like, for example, we'll have folks that call in and they want to get a truck and they haven't started shopping yet. And they say, where's a good place to shop for a truck? Well, we deal with dealerships across the country and have relationships and can get them to, depending on where they are in the country, which doesn't always matter if you're in long haul, but We can send people to somebody that we work with who we know from experience is reputable, isn't gonna sell them some lousy truck. I mean, there's horror stories that you hear. Someone sees a underpriced truck on the internet, goes and goes to these dealerships and buys them, and the truck breaks down a half mile from the dealership, and they say, "Well, you paid for it; it's yours."
Yeah, yeah.
And we obviously want to avoid somebody that we work with having a problem like that.
Right. Are you guys, are you the broker, the lender? Are you both? How does this work? Give us kind of the breakdown, the broker, lender, and, you know, when someone, because I don't think anybody knows. And I know here, we have these big banks here. You guys have different names, but we have the big 4 banks, I guess they are, or 5 banks here, which probably won't lend you any money if you say truck. If you say truck and borrow in the same sentence, they usually just close the door and escort you out. So a lot of people are using, you know, other brokers, other lenders, you know, people like yourself. So tell us how that's set up, because I wouldn't know. Just walk into your office, I'm going, well, this is a place that's going to lend me money. But are you the broker, the lender? Are you actually giving me the money? Is it financing somewhere else? It gets very confusing. Even just in insurance, you know, our insurance, we just purchased new insurance, and because we're doing it on like a monthly basis, there's somebody else involved that I don't even deal with. I don't know who they are, you know. So how does that work for you guys?
So yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it's going to be a complicated answer in most cases, but for the most part, we're usually the broker, and that's almost always going to be the case if you're not going to a bank, or and the reason for that is, you know, all the lending portfolios have different specifics. The person, you know, we do XYZ lending portfolio does A credit people. This portfolio does B credit people. But what if it's an older truck, right? Some people do an older truck. Some people do an older truck, but only if you've got 3 vehicles in your fleet. Some people will do startup financing, and what you call a direct lender, somebody that's lending out their own funds. They almost always are lending those through brokers, because you never want the guys that sell stuff to be the ones making financial decisions. Okay. And so the folks that are good, what we call originators, people that are good at finding people that want to borrow, putting them in the right portfolio and doing all those things, they typically make for lousy underwriters. Underwriting being the people that decide, hey, is this a good deal? Can we lend money on this, or what else do we need? They're 2 very vastly different specialties. But even in 99% of the time, unless you're going to a bank, even when the person tells you they're a broker, that's only sort of true.
Okay.
Yeah, because we all do what's called syndication, which means we've spent the money to get somebody in the door as a customer. Well, we need to turn that money whenever possible. We need to turn that investment in customer acquisition into revenue. And if we don't send it off to somewhere else, we just lost that money.
Okay. So it's still confusing for everybody in the back. That was a good interview with Robert. Hopefully that gave you some good tips there on what to look for if you're getting financing for trucks and equipment. Important information, my friends. You really need to know that for sure. Hey, let me tell you about a place that's really good and looking for, well, you could be a driver or an owner-operator, and that's Rosedale Transport. They've got 15 terminals across North America, and I got to tell you, they are an outstanding fleet. They've been around for over 50 years. good safety record. They treat their employees good. They've got opportunities in local, regional, highway, and owner-operator positions. So if that's you, their head office is based in Mississauga, Ontario, but you don't have to necessarily be there. Check out rosedaleGroup.com and click on the Careers tab, and you can find out exactly which terminals are hiring at the moment. Rosedale has a great name. They do a lot of stuff to make sure their employees are safe, and they've got a great safety bonus program that the drivers are really enjoying. So check them out at rosedaleGroup.com. Also, let me tell you about a place called Compliance Mentors. If you are a carrier and you want to get yourself set up properly for 2026, then Compliance Mentors is where you need to go. They will do an audit for you in various areas of your business to make sure that you're not missing anything. And this is very important for those of you that are single owner operators or have 1 to 4 trucks, because you're busy, you're on the road too. You may not have time to understand really where you might be falling through the cracks. So getting an audit done, whether it be a compliance audit or some other ministry style audit, is going to be a great way for you to make sure that you're not missing anything and that you're compliant across the board so you can run down the road with ease. So check out Compliance Mentors with a Z, Compliance Mentors, mentorz.com, and you can see all the audit process they have. Get rid of the team. They have a real strong focus on safety, and they've got people all across the country to help you. So if you're in Canada, they can certainly help you out there. They know their stuff. All right? Okay, so hey, if you want to check out Robert's information, go to smarterfinanceusa.com and join us for part 3, where we're going to get into purchasing equipment and some of the loopholes that you have to work for so you know how to finance it. Where do you find it? That's what we're going to be talking about on our next episode, part 3 of this series with Robert Misheloff. So make sure you join us, and we'll see you next time. Be good out there.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.